Hi, welcome to the West Tigers podcast. This is episode number 370. We've got a full house. We've got Gary, we've got Declan, we've got Joel, Steve, Nick, and myself. I don't know what to say about that on the 29th of December, boys, whether that's just commitment or I could think of another couple of other words, Declan, for that.
Well, I think you just summoned all of us here like 2 hours. 2 hours ago, so I had to drop everything. You know, when the boss comes calling, you gotta drop everything and show up. So,
but as of 3 hours ago, Eddie didn't exist. There's been nothing for like 3 weeks from him.
I have been missing in action for a week. I did drop off the face of the earth, but I'm back, and I gave the boys about an hour's notice that we're doing a podcast because won't be available for about another week. But I'm not going to go around the whole table, boys, and ask how you all are because. One, I don't really care, and two, we don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to throw to the Captain Joel. I still call you the Captain Joel. The petition, another petition. Obviously, we made some mass changes in 2023 with the petition, which ultimately removed the board. It led to the demise of Lee and Justin, and Shane Richardson came to the club, and lots of good things have happened, even though it hasn't transferred to the field yet. But this is a petition of the external review of the governments of the Holman Barnes Group. I've had a look through. I've listened to the podcast you guys did yesterday. Why are we doing this one, I suppose, second time round?
Well, it is sort of a follow-up to the late 2023 review, which was a West Tigers podcast initiative. It was something that we did on our own. It was the brainchild. It sprouted from the brain of Steve Stretton, who called for a review into what was going on with the West Tigers. As we know, Barnier and Crawford, the two gentlemen, did the review into the West Tigers organisation. That was handed to the Holman Barnes Group. And the issue that we've got is that a number of those important recommendations are still yet to be fulfilled, primarily the appointment of independent non-executive directors to the West Tigers board. And the people that are now in control of the Holman Barnes Group, they appear to be not entirely in favour of the review recommendations. Now, my own personal opinion is that I think that they can feel their level of power over the football team slipping away. You've got some pretty strong personalities in there like Barry O'Farrell and Shane Richardson who are doing some really good stuff, Richo in particular. And I think that this is a last power grab from the debenture holders at Holman Barnes Group to maintain some control over the West Tigers. But, the thing is that they don't... I think even the most strident fan or the most critically minded fan would say that the people that they've appointed onto the West Tigers board may not have the expertise that we really need, and we need those non-executive independent directors appointed. So we're at a bit of a crossroads at the club, and that's why we're calling for this review.
Joel, I have been missing in the last week, but I did see that double-page spread in the Sydney Morning Herald. I think it was by Michael Chalmers, and obviously... it's amateur hour for one, having all these emails leaked. And like you said, some of the things that were quoted are concerning. But I think you mentioned on the podcast last night, this is not something that we've sprung up in the last couple of days. You had concerns, as did all of us, right throughout 2024.
We gave them the benefit of the doubt for a long time, and this was even after the board members who were very supportive of the review recommendations. So we're talking about the former chairman Tony Andriacchio and Rick Wade and Dave Gilbert. They voted unanimously back when the review came through, but then there was a change, and those three lost control of the board. The debenture holders, Julie Romero, Dennis Burgess, they became the chairman and the vice chairman. And basically, what's really important to note here is that not only have they lost control, the Andriacchios and the Rick Wades, but now the people that are running the board, that have control of the board, are actually excommunicating them completely out of the organisation. Now, where that's really interesting is that Tony Andriacchio and Rick Wade are actually member elected. They were elected by the members of the Holman Barnes Group, about 27,000 people. And so you can see there are concerns around the democratic process when 27,000 people have voted for two people. and then they're removed by some debenture holders. We're talking about 4 people. So 4 against 27,000, you can see why we're concerned about the governance.
You know, an interesting point too, Eddie, that we didn't mention in yesterday's pod was that when we presented the petition to Holman Barnes, we were thanked privately and publicly for conducting ourselves in a professional manner. And due to that, we were told that we would be afforded the courtesy of a sit-down meeting with them to talk through the progress of adopting the review when that happens. Now that never eventuated, and when we followed that up, we were given a very curt reply that timing wasn't good and it just wasn't going to happen, and the whole attitude seemed to have changed, and the way we were being spoken to and engaged with changed dramatically. So I suppose in a way, if nothing else, and there is a lot more, but if nothing else, this is just natural follow-up because we are still waiting to be given the feedback that we were promised by a group of people who respectfully gave that to us because we were professional in the way we dealt with the matter. And where perhaps have not been dealt with in that same level of professionalism now.
A key issue for me, Steve, is not only was that feedback not provided through the channels we spoke about, the actual formal checkup on the progress of the implementation of the recommendations has been blocked by the Holman Barnes Group. So one of the recommendations was that the process of implementation would be reviewed by an external body after 12 months. When the West Tigers went to action that, the West Tigers were blocked from actually engaging someone to do that. So for me, that really raises concern that there's people trying to hide what's going on inside the club because they're not allowing the checks and balances that were put in place as part of the review to proceed. And the 2 major ones, Joel did mention the independent directors, but the other key part of that is the change of the deeds of the club and the constitution of the West Tigers that will then enable the West Tigers to have those independent board members. That has not gone through yet. So there actually has to be constitutional change to the club to allow there to be 4 independents, because the current constitution allows for the makeup where the Holman Barnes Group has 3, West Magpies has 1, Balmain has 1, and there's 2 independent board members. That's the current constitution of the club. So not only have those independent directors not been appointed, the constitution of the club is yet to be changed to allow there to be 4 independent directors of the club.
I will just mention, before I throw back to Joel, we're going to spend another 5 minutes or so on this, but we are going to ask the boys, outside of Joel, these are 25 questions for 2025. So we are going to delve into the football in a minute. But Joel, I saw in, I guess, the blurb on the petition that, we're encouraging all West Tigers fans, different podcast groups, all social media outlets, even other NRL fans to get involved and sign this if they believe in it. You must be encouraged so far, because I believe the last one, which Action So Much Change, got around 2,000 signatures, and that might have been up for 2 or 3 months from memory. This one's been up for 24 hours and already gained nearly 500 signatures.
Yeah, so and we're recording on Sunday night. This pod will go to air Monday morning. I'm sure we will have sailed past 500 signatures by that stage. And, it's really heartening. It's a slightly different, in fact, it's a very different experience to the first time around. In 2023, as I mentioned earlier, that was really just us. That was us pushing that petition. We got a little bit of support from here and there, but not a huge amount. This one's not a West Tigers podcast initiative. This is West Tigers Unite. And I've really got to say a big thank you to the other platforms that have thrown their support behind it, because I think we're all of one mind. We're just sick of it. We're sick of opening up the newspaper or looking on the computer and seeing stories about the dysfunction and the politics and the just the complete lack of professionalism that we keep seeing. So we're all of one mind, and that means that groups like the West Tigers Forum, the Ambush, West Tigers Life podcast, Rob from the West Tigers Life pod's been a great support, the Tiger Town pod, they're right behind it, a number of Facebook groups, and of course we're doing what we can through our channels on the podcast and the forum. I think it's worth, because the more I've investigated and looked into the debenture system with the Holman Barnes Group, which stems back to what was formerly the Western Suburbs Leagues Club, we're talking about a system of governance that was put into place in 1955 when the club was essentially a one-room, tiny little club. And, one of the biggest clubs in Sydney, and we've still got this crazy debenture scheme, which is just entirely, I believe, not in line with the type of club that West Ashfield and their other clubs are today. You've got 18 people in what is essentially a little club of their own. We believe, although there's no information anywhere that's publicly available as to how you become a debenture holder, but these 18 people that are left, essentially they've got 5 places on the Holman Barnes Group board. So you've got 18 people taking up 5 spots on a 7-member board. And that just seems really strange to me. That's a strange one. And I've done some research around debentures, and I can't find any information about any other licensed club in New South Wales having debenture board members. St George had it right at the very, very beginning when they were trying to get formulated. I don't think they stuck with it very long. And I think probably the only place where you might, just to put it into some sort of, compare it to maybe the type of clubs that might have debentures, you might imagine a small community golf club might have some debenture members. But as I said, I couldn't find any information anywhere in regards to that. So I don't know. That to me seems wrong. It seems wrong that 18 people who probably between them have never played a game of rugby league can control an entire entity like that, and that can flow through so significantly to an NRL club. That, to me, doesn't feel right.
Yeah, Joel, those 5 spots, so not only do they have 5 seats on the Holman Barnes Group board, the Holman Barnes Group has the majority of seats on the West Magpies board. So who is with West Ashfield, or with the Holman Barnes Group, the majority owner of the West Tigers. So they control both those boards.
Yeah.
And up until the review last year, and what's still in the Constitution, they have majority control of the West Tigers board. So that those 18 debentures, that control not only flows through the Holman Barnes Group, it flows right through the child organisations below it as well. So it just becomes a huge issue that 18 people have so much power across such a wide area of the Holman Barnes Group organisation.
Correct. And it's not about West and it's not about Balmain, but it's worth mentioning that 7-person board for the West Magpies, as Gary's saying, 4 are from Holman Barnes, and there's 3 that are elected by the members of the Western Suburbs District Rugby League Football Club. So those Holman Barnes nominees on the West Magpies board, Dennis Burgess, Montgomery, Tropiano, and Rick Wade, and you would assume that Rick Wade is not going to be there very much longer if the action that the debenture holders are taking against him and the other independent member-elected board member are removed from the club, along with Dave Gilbert, who is a debenture holder, but has voted and supported Andriaccio and Rick Wade. So it's a completely dysfunctional system, in my opinion, right at the top of the hierarchy. And that then dribbles down and causes a lot of problems for the club that we all love, and that's the West Tigers. And I hope that we're on the path to some degree of change there.
You go, Gary.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that the biggest issue I have with that is it allows 2 people, and those debenture holders on the Holman Barnes Group board, so those directors, their positions are permanent positions. They don't come up for re-election. They are lifetime positions. So Julia Romero, Benny Burgess, and the other 2 directors who are debenture holders, they have those positions until they give them up, or as what happened with Mike Bailey, they pass away. So those positions are permanent positions. And what that allows is for when we've had a lot of recommendations put through that review that have been accepted, that allows them to do whatever they want. That means they can throw these recommendations out and there's no consequence for that. There's no consequence. There's nothing the West Tigers fans can do. There's nothing that members of the Holman Barnes group can do, because those positions are there for life. So they can do whatever they want, and that has a major impact on the West Tigers. And that's why what we're seeing now, the kind of walking back we're seeing of the recommendations of the review. These recommendations are crucial to the success of the West Tigers, and they need to be implemented.
I was going to throw to Steve. I'll still throw to you, Steve. I don't know if Gary just answered it then, but is this the short-term or long-term consequences for West Tigers if this sort of stuff goes on? You know, we've just had a big name signing in Luai, and, you know, our brands all across the paper with all this board infighting. What do you think's more dangerous, short-term on-field consequences or just the long-field, off-field rot that's been happening for the past decade?
Both are important, and one leads to another. Like short-term consequences is yet again we're in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, and just as we are starting to get a little bit of credibility, because I do feel that a lot of the media talk over the off-season has been very positive about West Tigers, and if that's followed up with 3 wins beginning of the season, all of a sudden there's a different talk around the West Tigers club, which helps those inside the club and obviously helps us as fans as well with our enjoyment level. So short term, definitely. But long term, the effective governance of the club, you know, we need independence. We need independent thinking. People that are not agenda driven and have a skill set at governance level that can come in and make informed decisions on what is the best action possible for the future direction of the club. And as Gary pointed out just then, and Joel has said a number of times, what we are extremely fearful of is at the moment we don't have that. And we have a small number of people with ridiculous amount of power, and we are of the belief that perhaps there are agendas there that are not in the best interests of West Tigers moving forward. And unless that power level is addressed, then those agendas can be pushed forward without much resistance. And that's not a good thing for anyone.
And just to, I guess, put the full stop, well said, Steve, is that the whole idea of this is to get a comprehensive external review of the governance of the Holman Barnes Group. And then what our plan is to take the petition, all the signatures to the Holman Barnes Group. They are aware of what's going on. I've let the CEO know. The petition will also be taken to Liquor and Gaming New South Wales and the New South Wales Minister for Liquor and Gaming, the Honourable David Harris. I just wanted to make the point, just been doing a fair bit of research around this, and I really feel that the debenture-controlled Holman Barnes Group board fails to meet one of the priorities of what's called the Liquor and Gaming New South Wales Delivery Plan 24 to 26. And namely, one of the key functions of that is ensuring responsible governance, operator integrity, and financial accountability. I think that we've got to keep going with this. We've got to get lots of signatures, and we've got to get it to them because I think that Holman Barnes can be better. I think a better system for the members of the Holman Barnes Group could be initiated. And I think that would flow through. And echoing Steve's thought, our primary focus here is we've got to get the best people on the board in control of the West Tigers, or we're going to keep going around in circles. And one final thing is, I think we're at a great strength in that West Tigers fans used to be so divided and used to be so confused. For 25 years, we've been going around in circles, blaming this board and blaming this club and blaming this set of fans. And slowly what's happened is that we've ended up with just this one last push. To me, it's one last push. If we can get this improved or settled or sorted or changed, then I think we've turned the corner, and it's taken 25 years, but we've got to keep pushing. We've got to get more signatures, and this is the only way that we can be heard.
there a timeline on this, or a best outcome, or is it just play it by ear and get as many signatures as we can and then take it to review if possible?
As I said on the last pod, this is probably the worst time of the year to be launching this type of action because everybody's on holidays or distracted. So it's going to be around for a few weeks. There's no actual definitive time. I would suggest maybe 2 or 3 weeks at least into January. We want to get 10,000 signatures, 10,000 signatures on the petition. We have 400,000 members. Surely we can get 10,000. It's so important. The best way to sign the petition is to head to the West Tigers podcast website. There's a big box there on the left-hand side. You just click there. You put your name and your email address into there, and it's really, really simple. So, let's aim high and let's really deliver this with some clout.
You scared me that Justin Pascoe was back a moment ago, Joel, when you said we had 400,000 members. He was very rubbery with his figures, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yes. I don't think the 400,000 is too inflated, but it certainly would be an inflated membership number. But anyway.
All right. Well, thank you, Joel, the captain. You've opened the batting, and now I believe you're going to depart. Do you have a fearless prediction for 2025 before you go? Or are you going to save that for the new year?
We're going to run 8th.
Okay, there you go. That is a fearless prediction. Thank you, Joel.
Thanks, guys.
Now, boys, I'm going to press on with our 25 questions for 2025. Some of them are a little bit lighthearted, but some of them are, nitty-gritty, and there might be a few arguments, just for something different between Gary and Steve, or me and Gary, or could be even Nick or Declan. They've been sitting there patiently. I'll start with you.
Nick doesn't argue with anyone.
I'll start with you, Declan. Question number 1. Captain for 2025, should it be Jerome Luai or Api Coruscant?
I think that for continuity's sake, I think it should be Api Coruscant. I think even Jerome Luai referred to Api as Skip in their promotional stuff, so not sure if that's just like a kind of like a thing that Luai's got, a kind of mentality that he's got going into it, that Api will still be the captain. But I just think that Api's been a great leader this entire time. I don't really see a reason to take the captaincy off him. I know, obviously Luai's the main guy and, he's the marquee guy, but I just think that Api's done a great job so far. And then they kind of, just to kind of add to it, I'm happy with co-captains where Luai and they're both the same, but they kind of do different things. Api seems more like a guy that leads with his actions, but then Luai is someone who's more of a verbal leader. So I'd be happy with that, but I think if I was to choose one outright captain, it'd be Api at this moment.
I'll come to you boys in a minute, Gary and Steve. But Nick, Declan said he's done a great job. I suppose he has done a great job, but he looks exhausted to me. I just think Jerome, he's fresh. He's got that bullish enthusiasm. Perhaps it's misplaced, but I'd be leaning towards Luai.
I am leaning towards Luai. He'd definitely be my choice, and I agree. Api does look tired. I think it would probably help to give Api a little bit of a breather, to be honest, a bit of weight off his shoulders. I think Jerome coming in, he's already been told he's got the keys to the car, so the team is his. He
literally had the car the other day, didn't he?
He did. He got a new car with I'd like to say what the plates are, but I noticed he blurred them out after he posted the first photo with the plates on it. But he's got a nice shiny new car.
I saw it, Nick. It says salary cap exempt.
Yeah. I'm happy with that, Steve. I don't mind that at all. No, I'd definitely be giving it to Luai, but I think we discussed probably on one of the pods that you didn't listen to, Eddie, not too long ago, that Api and Jerome could well be co-captains, because I don't mind that idea as well. So I think you would expect Jerome, as long as he stays fit, he'll be on the field for 80 minutes every week, whereas Api hopefully will be getting a bit of a rest as we go through the season. But I could see a co-captaincy working out well between the two of them.
It might work well, but Steve, it's not on the voting card. You've got to vote. Is it Luai or Api?
I was just going to welcome Declan back. I haven't seen him for so long, and didn't even get to wish him Merry Christmas there when we came on pre-pod. So, and as is traditional with Declan, I just want to say that Declan's wrong. I've just got to go Luai. I think, and Nick basically said it. I think Api was really busted. He just had too much on his plate last year, and he's so important at 9 for us. And I just think it would be doing him a huge favour. Plus, I think Luai has every character trait we need to drive us as a captain.
You guys are all just a bunch of kids at Christmas. Just see a shiny new toy and just completely discard the old one at the bin. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I've just got a little bit more loyalty for the skip. But
No
that might just
loyalty
be
here,
me.
boys.
I do have to say, the footage coming out of training so far this season, Appy looks about 5 years younger. I think just having Luai around and a little bit of a break, he looks a lot more refreshed and looks a lot better. And it may be getting rid of the bleached blonde hair, but he looks a lot younger. He looks a lot fitter. If I had to choose, I'm probably going Luai as well. But I'll sit on the fence as well as a couple of other guys did, and I'll give them both the role. Let them share it. I think they complement each other really well. Appy's the guy that leads by example, and Luai's the guy that holds people to account. I think that partnership would work really well. I think they both complement each other.
Maybe Jerome will bleach the top of his hair blonde and leave the bottom part black. That'll look interesting.
Well, anything goes these days in 2025. It wouldn't surprise me. Question 2, boys. I'll start with you, Declan, and we can just do one-word answer for this. Christmas or Easter?
Christmas.
Nick?
I like Christmas. I got more chance of getting cash given to me by some friends and family than Easter.
Steve, I was going to go Easter because, Christmas, I don't know what your family's like, but I've got to spend time with people, make small chat with people that I really want to. So I'm going to go Easter because the footy's on. You don't have to go around to people's places and have lunches. So I'm going for Easter.
Tigers versus Parramatta, packed out stadium. It's got to be Easter. You don't get that at Christmas. Don't even get a game of cricket at Christmas.
Can I just ask you, Eddie, based on that? I know what you like, right? It's off season. You're enjoying the off season because the stress is gone. You're saying Easter's better. Like Steve just said, would you prefer to sit through an Easter Monday nail biter?
Yeah, well, that's true. I forgot how many buys do we have to start the season?
Yeah, we've usually lost about 7 games by then.
Yeah, we'll see. I saw we played Parramatta in round 2 and round 7, so that's interesting. Question 3, I'll start with you, Gary. Lachlan Galvin re-signs either pre-season or during the season, or waits it out until November 2025 and makes us sweat. What's more likely?
I know. I hope he signs, but I got a feeling that it's probably one that we're going to be waiting for a little bit. So I have heard a few little rumours that a deal could be close to being done, but I expect we won't hear anything probably until towards the end of the season.
It's easy to say, Declan, that he looks happy at the moment. I mean, everyone's happy, looks happy. Everyone's happy we haven't lost a game. They're back at training. They don't have to deal with getting beaten on the weekend or beaten up in the press. But is now the best time to try and strike before we've played a game? Obviously, if we win 4 of our first 5, that then would be a great time to strike. But what's your confidence sort of level?
I think I'm sitting at a kind of 5 out of 10 at the moment. I think that we've kind of spoke before how we do most of our best recruiting in the off season because we're not playing games and there isn't that media pressure, as you said. But just as looking at it from his manager's perspective, he really doesn't have a lot to lose by waiting, and that's what makes me nervous. I think his value will still be exceptionally high in the middle of next season, compared to now. He's a great player. He's going to have that interest. So I just can't really see that from that perspective, his manager pushing for him to ink a deal now. But who knows? Maybe training's great. He's really vibing with Blue Eye. He's got a great feeling. He is very young still, so he could get swept away in it, and we could get him in a good deal. But yeah, I agree with Gary. I think that I'm not really expecting any news on this for a while yet.
The one thing he does have to lose if he doesn't sign a contract over this off season is we could double his salary for next year. I think he's on about that $300,000 mark next season, and you could quite easily bump him up to $600,000 next season, and that's the competitive advantage we have right now that we need to try and use, is that we can upgrade him over the next 2 years where other clubs can't. So we've got to try and use that advantage if we can.
So I'm just going to give a different perspective. We said before Christmas that this off-season, this next few months, was going to make or break it for Shane Richardson, whether he was yesterday's man or still had it. Every single thing this guy has said, he's achieved. Everything. There's nothing. The only reason we've missed players is when clubs would. We've had players wanting to come to this club. The only reason they didn't come was because their current club wouldn't release them. This guy has achieved everything. I would normally
You missed on Stefano, Steve.
Maybe. How hard did he want to keep him? Well, we don't know that. You might be right. But my point is, normally I'd be saying no way Galvin will resign until after November. I'm going to say Richardson will get it done.
And he may have missed on Stefano, but I think Terrell May's an upgrade. So, like, he may have missed that man, but when he missed that man, he went out and I think he got a better player.
Well, he dropped out of that big Richardson tree that I thought was, cursed, but something dropped out of it, and I agree. He did very well out of that one.
If he fell out of a tree, it must have been a big tree.
Question number 4. We'll swap the order on this. We'll stick to one-word answers. There's a few of these that are non-football, but not too many, boys, so don't stress. Nick, beach or the pool?
You know what? I'm probably one of the very few Aussies that doesn't really enjoy swimming, so I don't like either. But I'm happy to sit on the edge of the pool and dangle my feet, mate. So
one word, Nick. One word.
Declan, you'd be the pool for sure, being Scottish.
Well, actually, I live in Manly and actually tan very well where they'll have, So, yeah, it's the beach for me. So.
Sublet Luke Brooks, the second room?
Steve, you live on the...
We're best mates now, so...
You have a beachside mansion, don't you, Steve?
Beachside mansion. Well, I got one I can't get rid of if you want to buy it. No, I'm beach, mate. Love the beach. Love getting down the beach, going for long walks on the beach, having a bit of a swim, having a paddle. Yeah, love it.
See, I'm the pool, Gary, because no sharks, no sand. I hate sand. I hate getting sand on me.
Yeah, I don't like sand either. I'm pool, mate.
Okay. Question 5. I'll start with you, Steve. It's a bit of an airy-fairy one, but you can't sort of sit on the fence. I'm looking at rosters in the NRL. Is it talent and skill, or is it connection and trust?
Great question. If I had to go one or the other, talent and skill. And with skill being the more important, because you start with talent, but it's just then you got to develop skill off your natural talent.
Because I think, Steve, the reason I brought this question up is I look at this roster first time in close to a decade, maybe since 2016, 2017, that I think, they probably shouldn't finish in the bottom 4. But then I look at other rosters or clubs, like Penrith, and yes, they've turned into stars, but they certainly didn't start that way. And I just think that's going to be so important with this roster. They do have talent and skill, but if they don't have that connection and trust, some of these big names coming in and how often they sort of hang out outside of football and how much they really like each other, then I think it could be another long year.
It's all important, right? It's all interconnected. I love what I saw, and I can't remember the exact wording. I love what I saw on the Melbourne Storm's gym wall, and it was like talent gets you through the door and hard work keeps you in the room. Okay. It was something like that. And I think that's my point. Like, talent's important. You need talent to play first. Not everyone can play first grade. You need a certain amount of talent, but then you got to develop your skill set based off that talent. And then you're right. Then you got to be connected. So it's hard to differentiate. But if you're asking me, you got to have talent and then develop that.
Yeah, if you don't have talent and skill, then the connection and trust don't matter.
Hey, Steve, have you been touring through Melbourne's change rooms? What have you been doing, reading the walls of their...
I just went there and did some negotiations for Stefano.
Didn't do too well, did it?
No.
He signed with the Melbourne Storm podcast for next year.
I see. Okay.
Declan, I know you're at numbers, man. Do you have this? It's not one of the questions, but do you have this roster outside a bottom 4 roster and a towards the middle of the table roster now?
Well, I'm always optimistic, Eddie. I don't if you go into a season expecting.
Since Matt got sacked, you have been optimistic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wonder why. But yeah, I don't know. If you go into a season expecting to finish last, then I think you're kind of building yourself up for a bit of a miserable season. But yeah, I expect them to push for the top 8, if not make it, because I think that it's got a lot going for it. And there's honestly a few NRL squads that I'd pick the Tigers ahead of them at the moment, just based on the team sheet. But obviously, rugby league is not played on the team sheet; it's played on the field, and we're going to have to wait for the trials in the first few rounds to see how it all gels together. But I think I'm quietly confident going into this season.
Okay, question number 6. Steve, I'll start with you. We'll start with, probably need one of the older people for this one, so I'll start with you. No disrespect. 90s football, the 2000s, or the modern game right now?
Awesome, because I was at my cousin's the other day doing a bit of Christmas stuff, and she's a mad South supporter, and she's 10 years older than me, right? So we had this very discussion. So I reckon in the 90s was the best football era. That was when the best footy was played. Blokes were footballers. But today, without doubt, these guys are the best athletes and can do things on the football field that have never been done before. So absolutely the best athletes now, but the best footy players, in my opinion, were in the 90s.
See, I don't know. I look at Nick. I watched some of those old games as well, and I remember as a kid growing up sort of in the 90s, and, that seemed like a free-flowing sort of football, and obviously the big difference is the body shapes. You could tell who the wingers and the centres were back then, but I actually think the last 2 or 3 years we're going back into maybe a golden age of rugby league. I thought the product last year, just watching neutral games, was outstanding. The sort of battle between attack and defence and how fast it is. And I think some of the rules have taken a year or two to bed in. But I thought the 2000s was awful, a lot of it. 10 or 15 years of wrestle and defence. And I sort of think we're going back into that 90s version now where it's sort of geared towards attack.
Yeah, I agree. How long ago did we go to that unlimited interchange, and how long did that last for? Because that was stupid.
Oh, they did that on and off for a while.
So early 2000s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't make the game fun at all. I'd like to see them reduce that a little bit to bring the little guys back into the game because, like you said, there's so many big athletic players on the field. If we could somehow find a balance to bring the little guys back into the game, then it would almost turn corner a little bit and come back to a bit like that 90s football that we all love to watch as kids for us older fellas. But yeah, no, I did like the 90s footy, Eddie, apart from the fact that, as for most of us, Balmain and West weren't very successful. So not a great decade, but we're used to bad decades.
So you're going with the modern game?
Yeah, modern game for me, yep.
Declan, I'm sure you didn't see many games in the 90s, so you'll have to vote for the modern game, won't you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to vote for the modern game. I think that I just always remember, I think England played New Zealand in like a test series. It's when Jackson Hastings was playing 7 for England, and it was before the 6 again rule, and it was just such a boring game because neither team could penetrate the other team's half. So there was basically no attacking play. Like it was pretty much yardage the entire time, unless there was some sort of penalty given to get them upfield, and that was just really boring to watch. And like in a game where like England and New Zealand, it should be a really competitive game because there's plenty of talent on the field. Like neither team could break the other team down offensively. So I think that the modern day game opening up has made it more interesting to watch. And I agree with Steve. I think the athletes in today's game are pushing the boundaries in terms of attack, skill, but also like fitness. Like they kind of just have it all, to be honest, at the moment.
Question 7, Gary. This one, it's actually question 7.5 technically, because that's the game over or under for these 3 players in first grade in 2025. I'll give you the first one, Charlie Staines.
Under.
Why? Third choice winger?
Look, yeah, I don't think he... I don't think he... without injuries, I don't think he plays a big role in our side this year. I think he'll spend a lot of time in reserve grade. I have him as probably my third or fourth choice winger.
Declan, Latu Fainu, over or under 7.5 games in first grade next season?
I'm going to go under because, I think that Galvin and... unless...
bench spot?
No, I've got De Silva in my bench spot. I really think that this is the time where he really pushes for minutes in the NRL. I think Appy last season showed that if you overplay him too much, he does lose that productivity. So I've got De Silva in my bench spot. Obviously, if injuries come into place, but then, Fainu, he played a bit of hooker this season as well, and he wasn't great, to be honest. I was kind of expecting him to be a little bit better. So obviously, if Galvin or Luai get injured, he kind of slots in there. But if everything goes well and it's full strength, I think I'm going to go with the under for that one.
2 more players to go in this one. I'll throw this one to Steve. Stafford Toa over or under 7.5 games in first grade.
Over. I think he'll get a Guernsey.
You think he'll start? You think he's in their best team?
No, I don't think he'll start the season.
Right.
I think Dewey will start at centre in the first game because Appy is out of our first game of the year, and we need a goal kicker. I think Dewey will come in and play centre in the goal kicker. Now, if Dewey comes in and kills it and holds down, and he could kill it and hold down the spot, then Toa will be third choice. Olam is bound to get injured at some stage. Dewey's form is up and down. Stafford Toa is next man up, I would say.
Nick, I mean, this is a bit of an insult to this player given the consistency and form he had last year, but Alex Seyfarth, over or under 7.5 games in first grade in 2025?
Over. Easy over. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets Man of Steel, play all 26, 27, whatever it is.
If he plays Origin or something.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Got a lot of potential, that kid. He'll play more than 7.5. 100%.
Question 8, Declan. I reckon you're going to be compromised here. Who has a better 2025, Stefano or Terrell May?
I think that, well, you actually asked who you think is going to make the grand final, and I've got, spoiler alert, I've got Storm for one of those spots. So just like on that basis alone, I think if Stefano makes the grand final and he's in the team playing decent minutes, then it's
individual form though. Is he going to be better than Terrell?
Well, that's a tough one because I think he's surrounded by better players that are going to get him the ball in better spots. Like he's going to be one-on-one with defenders a lot more than he was with us. So I think on that basis, I think he's going to have a really good year next year. That being said, I think like Terrell, I obviously back him to be like a really good player as well for us. And I think that like he could be like what maybe more of a leader that we thought we were kind of hoping Stefano would be. But I think that Storm pack is favourite. That Storm team is favourites to win the comp, and I think Steph is going to have a big year for them. So I'm going to go him.
Do you think Steph will get that Origin spot back, Declan?
That's a tough one. So I think that Spencer Leniu, I think he's like showed that he's an Origin player. So I'd be surprised if he didn't get picked. And then Turbo's the captain. Who was it? Haas is obviously a first pick. And then I think Mitch Barnett is another one that's just kind of a match player. So I think it's going to be tough for him, but I think he'll be thereabouts. But I'm not that as confident if he makes his Origin comeback that's next year.
I mean, the other advantage he's got, Nick, is he's got, a wood duck back in charge of New South Wales, which is Laurie Daly. So anyone can get selected this year.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up.
I mean, how on earth did they land back on him? Because he's been reading the tab odds for the last 5 years. I mean, is that ridiculous? Qualified to? I know he's got. I suppose his pitch was he has Bellamy as his advisor or whatever. So maybe Bellamy's doing all the training and the tactics. So maybe Stefano's a shoe-in if he's playing well for Bellamy.
Well, there are no other candidates for we're getting off topic for New South Wales coaching job.
There mustn't have been.
Yeah.
There mustn't have been. Steve, what do you think about Laurie Daly? Not a question, but.
I feel a bit for Laurie Daly. Like, when you go back, you talk about looking at 90s footy, right? You go back and watch Laurie Daly. He was an out.
He's a great player.
He was a superstar, right? But what he's really suffered is his image. Like he looks really awkward on TV. Whether he's doing betting odds or whether he's being asked footy questions. Yeah. And you go back to that moment in State of Origin when he didn't know when to sit on that chair with Phil Gould. Right?
Phil Gould's chair, yeah.
Like, seriously, that's followed him.
Yeah.
Right? And even now.
He'll lose the series, Steve. That's my first prediction for the year. The
chance to take the reins, and all of a sudden he's come up, I'm the coach, but not really. Craig Bellamy's, going to be pulling the strings. Like he needs to man up a little bit and just do it his way. But
Steve, I'm going to stick with you because this question, it might make you angry, but it's on the board. Question 9. 9th will be a successful season for the West Tigers in 2025.
Top 8 or bust.
I know you say that all the time and you stamp your feet about it, but if we win 9 games, that means we've probably won 11 or 12 games, which will be treble what we did in 22-23 and double what we did last year, essentially. I would sign up for that now, and maybe that's being defeatist, but I reckon we just need a year out of the bottom 4.
Okay, so that's the point, right? So in retrospect, when you're reviewing the season and you finished ninth because of X, Y, and Z, then you might be able to say, yeah, we've had a more successful season than the season before. We're heading in the right direction, and we take positives from that. Absolutely. So I agree with that. But at this point right now, if you aim for ninth, that is a killer mindset.
But I'm not the coach, Steve. I'm not telling him to come ninth. Obviously, if I'm the coach, I'm saying something different. I'm just a fan on the hill, you know.
Yeah, but we're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
Tigers unite, right? And so we've got to have a goal or an aspiration that's better than failing. And so, no, at this point in time, we've got the squad. We've got a squad this year that can make the 8. Absolutely.
I think you said that last year.
If we get another second rower, we've got a squad that can make the 8 easily. All right. So yeah,
Come on, Nick. Just be. I know you're that sort of glass half empty like I am. I mean, ninth is a great season from where we've been.
Nick's got 2 glasses.
I do, and I'm about to drink out of both of them. But look, to be honest, I'm like Steve now, right? I think it is do or die. It's make or break in 2025. Look, if we get to the end of next season and we do finish ninth, I won't be unhappy. But like Steve's saying, we have a roster that should be playing finals footy. Eddie is sitting there shaking your head. You look a bit like Mahatma Coach shaking your head like that. But no, honestly, we have to be playing finals. And one of the reasons for that, Lachlan Galvin, we're talking about whether he was going to re-sign before the season starts or not. I don't think he will. And why would he? Like, he'd be stupid to sign before he gets an idea of what the team's going to do next season with Luai next to him in a half. So we have to be making the top 8. And if we don't, I think we're just going to spiral backwards in 2026 unless we do some magical recruiting in, back row and lock and whatever else we need to plug holes with. But it's a big year next year. It really is.
Declan?
I mean, Nick kind of said it. If Galvin does resign, though, does that kind of take the pressure off the footy team to make the top 8 this year? Like, so if he signs in the off season, like a long-term deal, we're kind of settled. And I know Luai's got the options, and that's kind of a different story, but that does kind of add that stability. Does that kind of take a little bit of pressure off this, like, do or die? If we make the top 8, we're kind of set up for the next 5 years. If we don't make the top 8, it could all come crashing down immediately.
Well, I mean, if they come bottom 4, Declan, and Galvin hasn't re-signed, it does come crashing down immediately. I would argue that ninth is might be seen by some people as a success and might say, well, we're going in the right direction, and then we can build on that. Gary?
Yeah, for me, when I do these sort of things, I've got to look at the squad realistically. And yes, it's a much better squad than we've had in the past, but there's still holes in that squad. We're short a centre, and we're short second row. And these are starting positions in our side. So moving into next year, now I'm not going to say we're a bottom 4 roster. We're nowhere near a bottom 4 roster. Eddie's just being Eddie and being pessimistic. We're not a bottom 4 roster. But I expect us kind of in that 7 to 10 range. I think it's a squad that if things go right, we can make the top 8. But I think we'll be in the hunt at the end of the season for the top 8. And I think that progress from 3 wooden spoons, that's great progress towards where you want to be. You can't click your fingers and everything change overnight. And that 7 to 10 range, and it's probably 8 to 10 if I'm really serious about it. I think we're a really good chance of finishing in that range. And at this point in time, for the first time, probably in a long time, I have genuine hope that we will actually scrape into the 8. But there are still holes in our roster that we've got to get sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, Gary. This is a better squad. But, Steve, if things go wrong, they could still come last. That's when I go back to this connection and trust. I know you're getting angry, but I'm saying...
No, I'm not getting angry. Any team can come last. Well, most.
Outside of Melbourne, Penrith.
Yeah. Like apart from your top 3 or 4, any team can come last, right? Yep. If you have bad luck... I was having this conversation last night with a mate. He was saying that he asked Tim Sheens a few years ago, back in 10, 11, that sort of period, how are we going to go? And Tim Sheens, or he's asking him every year, and Tim Sheens would say, it depends how we go with injuries. It depends how we go with injuries. That was always his standard answer. It depends what happens with injuries. So anyone can come last. We can have a terrible year next year. You know, if we're none from five, and we lose that belief that we're building the off season, we're probably history again.
Question, go Nick.
I was going to say we're not going to come last because Jerome already said we're not coming last.
All that optimism. I'm sure James Tarmo said, we're going to make the top four when he came in as well. But question 10, Declan. I don't want to get bogged down in this one, so just a one-word answer. It's Buller or bust. Do we go with Buller as our fullback for the next 3 years, or do we bust that open and try and upgrade?
I feel like that's a bit of a loaded question. It can't really be answered.
Very loaded
question. It's not one answer.
Very loaded.
Or bust.
They're all loaded.
I mean, I would like it if an upgrade came available. I would happily upgrade. I would say upgrade just to play with your hypothetical. But I'm happy with Buller to start the season as well, in case he's listening and gets offended.
Well, if he's listening, he must absolutely despise me because people think I hate him, Nick. But
mate, there's a long line of people
I
in
just
that
looked at
boat.
15th best fullback in the NRL, and Steve's talking about winning multiple comps in a row like Penrith have done. I don't think you can do that with 15th best fullback in the NRL. Are you going Buller for the next couple of years or bust and chase someone else?
I'll go Buller the next couple of years, but the thing that worries me is the amount of money that he's likely to earn for, is it the second or the third year? Or the last year in his current contract, so I think it was up around, was it 900,000 or something silly?
There's an option for 900, a club option for 900,000.
Yeah, I don't think he's a $900,000 fullback. Yes, Eddie, 15th based on what statistics based on the previous season?
Based on probably just watching all the games, I'd base that on.
Yeah, so I think
on Eddie's opinion.
So you made it up.
He made it up.
That on what I call the eye test, Steve.
Whose eyes?
Well, it is subjective, of course, but I don't want to bog down and go through the 14 that were ahead of him. But that's a fairly fair ranking for what he's done so far.
Data-driven improvement, mate. There's a book you need to read.
Yeah. You're going to have to reassess, though. Yeah, you're going to have to reassess after this coming season.
I'd be more than happy to eat humble pie on it. Question number 11. Steve, I'll start with you. Injury, retirement, or poor form? Which one do you wish upon John Bateman in 2025? The PC's out the window this year. I don't care. We're just,
I hope he starts the season with poor form, right? Because he's come back 8 kilo overweight and it's too hot for him up there. Right? And then I hope because of that poor form, he gets injured and gets forced into retirement. And then on his way back to England, the plane crashes.
Oh, Steve, that is horrible. You cannot think.
I love it, Steve. Great answer. We don't need to go to anyone else on that. I mean, Declan,
terrible.
You're a John Bateman fan. I think you were in the past anyway. Like, he just... why does he just continue to take little pot shots? Like, he's gone now. He's happy. He's got his move to North Queensland. I saw, like to stalk plays on Instagram. I've unfollowed him now, but he did that, crossed out the crocodile role. He's now the crocodile hunter or whatever he is. I mean, it's going to be about 15 degrees too hot for him. That's a shocking signing by the Cowboys.
Yeah, I was a John Bateman fan when we signed him. I really was disappointed with what he ended up producing for the club. I think that I think it's a combination of things. I think he kind of
gave up.
Yeah, he gave up. But I think he also he just isn't the player that he was. I think he's slowly declined, and when he's lost that kind of yard of pace, that little acceleration, that power for a smaller forward, I think that really costs him. And he just hasn't looked the same. But to the point about the Instagram thing, I think that's just a very modern player thing to do because it's happened a few times too. I think Chef also had a crack on the way out, and I think I remember Josh Alloway, he also made a post on Instagram when he left as well. So it's petty. I don't like it, but it just seems to be something that they do to, I don't know, kind of empower themselves or make them think that they've got the last laugh. But I don't think John Bateman realises just how hot Townsville is and how not fun it's going to be playing for the Mackay Cutters or the Townsville Blackhawks when he gets dropped.
Question 12, boys. We've got to get a bit of a wriggle on, so we'll stick to one-word answers for these ones. Bennett, Bellamy, or Benji, Gary?
Bellamy.
Anyone disagree with that?
No.
Declan does. You going for Benji, or Bennett?
But is this just to hang out with them? Who would be?
So who you want to coach your football team, Declan?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Bellamy.
Bellamy. I've probably done this a few times, but I like bringing it up. Worst coach in West Tigers history, Steve? You know all the candidates. Who was it?
Yeah, well, Jason Taylor.
100% agree. No one's
Terry
disagreeing.
Lamb.
Terry
Terry
Lamb was
Lamb.
pretty bad, but yeah.
Brett Kamali.
Yeah, he was the interim coach for a couple of games there after you sacked Madge, Declan.
Yeah.
Question number 14, Nick. 5 home grounds like we've got this year or 1 permanent ground?
1.
Which one?
Ooh, can we go and build one?
No.
Yeah, well, look, it can't be like if you could pump some money into Campbelltown and redo it, probably Campbelltown.
Okay. Steve, what do you think about the, we slated Pascoe and that for the 5 home grounds. It's back on the agenda this year.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's all contextual. So when Pascoe made the decision, he was canned left, right, and centre. And Shane Richardson does it. No one says a word. Right? It's the exact same. Look, there's a reason for it. I think there's a plan in place, and as I said earlier in the pod, I wasn't prepared to give Shane Richardson a free pass when he came to the club. I thought he's got to prove himself. History is history, but every single step he's made has been correct. So I'm just going to back him, and I'd much prefer 1 home ground. I'd prefer us to have a jungle, but we don't. But I'm going to trust what Richardson's doing.
Gary, question number 15, and I did borrow a couple of these for another podcast if other people have listened to it. Bondi or Parramatta?
Bondi.
Really? Don't you live near Parramatta?
Yeah, I don't like Parramatta though. I used to live in Parramatta, but yeah, it's just concrete and hot, and yeah, I don't like Parramatta. And the Eagles play there.
Nick's going to say Bondi.
Where were you last night, Gary? Were you out somewhere last night?
Yeah, in Parramatta.
Question number 16, Declan. Overrated, underrated. Most overrated and underrated player in West Tigers history. What do you got?
Yeah, I just thought of the overrated question. I just thought it's just such a festive time of the year. I just didn't want to spread negativity at this time of year. So I really struggled to find the overrated player. But in terms of an underrated player, I reckon Chris Harrington, the current assistant coach at the club, it's just such a good player for us. And then when he left the Sharks, it almost immediately all kind of went down the toilet in terms of our position on the ladder. So I reckon he was just a really good, classic, hard-working lock. It was very reliable. Probably didn't get the Origin recognition that he deserved, but played for England. And I think he was and he's not really mentioned with the kind of Robbie Farahs and Benji Marshalls of club legends, but I think he does deserve to be mentioned in kind of a similar stratosphere to that.
There are a few from that same era, Declan. When you look at that 2005 team, especially Harrington, but even players like Dean Hallertau, John Skandalis, there were a lot of workhorses. Mark O'Neill even, did a great job. Ben Galea, plenty of them.
Harry?
Yeah, Liam Fulton is my most underrated. And I did just then come up with an overrated, and seeing Adam Dewey named in so many starting sides for next season.
Why do you just have to kick him to the curb all the time, Gary? Couldn't you just give him Christmas off?
He gets Christmas off after I do this. But yeah, I think he talks a better game than he plays.
What about Tim Moulton?
I was going to say Tim Moulton.
For me, he was just unequivocally the most overrated player in West Tigers history.
I've got one for you, Eddie. I don't when you talk about underrated, all those guys that you guys just mentioned, I actually don't consider them. I think they've actually been
rated,
been given, the kudos they deserve. The guy that I wrote for underrated was Blake Ashford. I reckon he was a decent footballer. Probably
for us.
Never got, well, he was all right for when he went to the Warriors too. He played some good games for them. But the overrated, this is the most important one. Make sure you're sitting down here, Eddie. And that's because of this pod. It's got to be Daniel Fitzhenry.
He's preaching to the converted there.
He's spoken about on this pod like he was Golden Boots player.
No, he was awful.
Yeah. Have we mentioned him on the pod?
I disagree.
I think it's more. I don't know if the old West Tigers forum, Gary, but back in the day, after a game,
he used to cop it.
Blow up on that bloke every single game. To be fair to him, during that final series, he actually didn't make any mistakes. He scored a try in the grand final, but some of the things he did during the year just used to infuriate the fans because he didn't exactly have a lot of speed or power attributes.
Yeah,
To do those donuts out of dummy half.
I wouldn't have him as overrated because I don't think anyone really rated him.
Yeah, Sheens did.
I'm going to stick up for Daniel Fitzhenry, but look, who would you think is more overrated, Daniel Fitzhenry or Adam Blair?
But Adam Blair, everyone just universally doesn't like. No one rates him, so how can he be overrated? No one rates him when he was here.
He was overhyped. He came to us on a big price tag, long contract. He was meant to be, deliver a lot of things, a bit like Papali'i as well, but he never did. He was a dud.
Question
He was a dud here, though. He was good before he got here, and he was good after he left.
Question number 17, boys. Steve, who will come 17th? Because it's obviously not going to be us with this brilliant roster we've assembled. So I've got a couple of smokies this year for the spoon, but if you have one that nailed on?
Yeah. Do I have to be realistic, or can I just? Is it wishful?
Well, you got to say Panthers.
No. I'm going to say my nemesis. I'm going to say Roosters.
You know what?
I think it's a
I
chance.
actually have them as a smoky to win the spoon. Now, maybe that's extremely wishful thinking. I don't think they're any chance of making the 8.
Yeah, so my mate Rob, I know you listen to this. Roosters, ROOSTERS, 17th. There you go.
Yeah, I'll agree with Steve. Just to annoy his mate.
Nick,
But seriously, they
won't make the 8.
They haven't filled their roster.
There's a chance. I think they're a chance, Steve.
Could be a Roosters Rabbitohs spoon bowl.
That'd be fun. I think Bennett will get the Rabbitohs actually going, though. I've got Declan, maybe a more realistic pick in terms of the market. I don't know exactly what it is, but these would be probably in top 5 favourites. I think the Warriors could run last. I think it's starting to implode over there.
Yeah, they just seem to have stalled, haven't they? Like, you don't really see them crop in really good juniors. Sean Johnston's also, he had that really good year last year, but then he kind of fizzled out. He's retired, so how's that going to work? But yeah, so I could definitely see that. But I reckon the Dragons as well. Like, everyone kind of says that they are. But hear me out here. Like, everyone says that they're picked for the spoon. They never do it. But they've lost 2 Kangaroos players in the offseason, like Zach Lomax and Ben Hunt, and they've kind of replaced them with no one. And then Kyle Flanagan.
Valentine Holmes, Damien Cook, and Clint Gustafson. They're 3 pretty fair players.
Yeah, but they're not Kangaroo level players, is what I mean. Sorry, that was probably harsh on me. But yeah, so they've replaced them with players, but they're kind of older veterans, on their way down, so to speak. And I just think that they haven't really managed to sign that marquee player. They've also signed Elias as well, who I'm not a huge fan of. Having Kyle Flanagan doesn't really fill me with much excitement, and I just think that they could have a bad season where they could come last.
Yeah, the Dragons halves are a real worry for me going into the next season. I don't see them. I think we'll have a better season than what the Dragons will have next year.
Could be another bit, Gary, coming.
I think Eddie might be a closet Dragons fan just quietly.
No, he loves Short Flanagan.
Closet, but I'm a Shane
Loves Short Flanagan.
I do love Shane.
Shane Flanagan, not Short.
Tells it how it is. He cheated a couple of times, Gary. Who cares? People get second, third chances in life. Come on. No?
What?
Move on. All right, Nick, you can't say all 3. Pizza, a Chinese, or barbecue?
What are we cooking on the barbecue?
Whatever you
Chinese.
got. Whatever you got.
Nick, make a decision.
I'll go barbecue. It's could be anything but barbecue.
Yeah, I'm going pizza or Chinese, Declan.
Yeah, pizza for me. Easy.
So you're allowed to go both of them. You're allowed to go to Eddie.
I am. Steve?
Well, if I want to stay married, I'm going to say Chinese.
All right, boys. Question number 19. The 3 new teams, if you're in charge. I know, Steve, you lived in PNG, so you're probably optimistic or, about them coming in. That looks like certainly it's been announced. So that's 18, but just assuming you're in charge, should be your 3 ideal teams to bring into the NRL in the next 5 years. So,
I really feel for the Bears, right? They've been in and out. Like they seem to get their hopes up, and then gets dashed. And I think Perth needs a team. So my 19th is the Perth Bears. That's, and then the 20th team is. Did you ask me for the 20th?
Yeah.
The 20th team, I reckon, is a second team out of New Zealand. Is what I'd be going.
Gary, I've flicked PNG in my ideal world. I've gone for another Brisbane team because I just think it's like Sydney. They could have more teams there. I've gone for a Perth team, and like Steve, I've gone for another New Zealand team.
Yeah, I don't think PNG should be getting a side, but I do understand why the NRL's gone there because they've got a fully paid for team. So I'll keep that there, and I'm pretty much with Steve. I think it's got to be Perth, and it's got to be another team out of New Zealand.
I agree with both of those, Perth, New Zealand. I'd like to actually see Cairns come in, and they should be called the Cairns Crocodiles, and John Bateman's going to be the inaugural captain.
Well, Cairns and Townsville, they can't be too far apart. They're probably about an hour apart, are they? 2 hours? I don't know.
You don't really know Queensland very well, do you?
No, it's probably a 4-hour drive, isn't it? Townsville, Cairns. Who are you bringing in?
So yeah, I'm bringing in a Perth team because I really like the idea of that, like that West Coast time slot for the TV. So you could potentially have 3 games on the Friday night, like back to back to back. I don't really like the idea of moving the Bears to Perth. Sorry, I just think that
Just a new franchise?
Yeah, just a new franchise, start fresh, kind of building the community, like all this kind of lingering. They want to play North Sydney Oho, I don't really have an appetite for that. And then another New Zealand team, because I think that the comments made by the Warriors about how there wasn't enough resources for another New Zealand team was just absolutely laughable. And I think there's more than enough good rugby league talent or potential rugby league talent on the South Island in New Zealand. So those would be my 2 options.
Alrighty, boys. Question number 20 is a minutes question. So I'm going to ask about 6 players. I'm going to go around the table very quickly. You've got to think it's the best possible West Tigers side on the paddock. You've got to tell me how many minutes ideally they're playing. Okay. Gary, I'll go for you first. Royce Hunt.
25 to 30.
Steve, Terrell May.
55 to 60.
Declan, Adam Dewey.
0.
Knew the 0 was coming, but anyone disagree with that for Dewey? I think you do, Steve. You had him in the team. You got 80 minutes.
I don't know that. I don't know where I disagree. I think he'll be in the team, just based on what I saw at training and what I heard secondhand from a trainer that he was going to slot in there.
You've inside, mate.
First round, yeah. Well, it's supposedly inside, mate. It's nothing. It's second, third, fourth hand. I still don't rate him, but I do think he's got the ability if he applied himself.
Nick, best possible West Tigers team. How many minutes? Talon De Silva.
20.
So he's in your best 17, eh?
Yeah, I think he's on the bench.
Gary, Appy Coruscant.
Yeah, 60.
And Steve, Jack Bird. Can't play 80.
No, he can't play 80, 60.
Start him at lock, Steve?
I would start Pole at lock, and I'd bring Jack Bird on after it's settled down.
I'll stick with you for this one, Steve. I said, PC's out the window this year. So who was worse for the club, Lee Hadjibentelis or Justin Pascoe?
Put them in the same pot. They're both as bad as each other.
Openly.
I'll answer it. Hadjibentelis was worse because I think he's more devious.
Well, he's still at work now, isn't he?
Yep, apparently.
Question number 22, Nick. Will it be a grand final replay in 2025? Melbourne and Penrith. I can't see anything else than a grand final replay. I think they are by far and above the best 2 squads. The only other squad, I know I'm answering my own question, but the only other squad I think could just jump out of the ground, which they're not really because of their talent, is Madge and the Broncos.
You could be right. I won't disagree. I'd like to see the Tigers, maybe sneak into the top 4 at some point in the season and get a bit of a wind up their sail, a bit 2005 like, but I won't disagree with your prediction.
Yeah, I'm actually predicting a Storm Broncos grand final. I just think that, as you said, Eddie, that Broncos team has just a ridiculous amount of talent, definitely enough to make the grand final. And just with Penrith, I think that unless Nathan Cleary has to play the full season, I don't think they can afford to have him miss, 10 games and kind of sit out while he recovers from injury, because they've got a rookie half in Tulagi. And, I just don't think, because Jerome Luai is not there for next season, they don't really have that kind of star half that can take the pressure off when Cleary's injured. So if Cleary plays the whole season, I think we could make the grand final. But he's just shown over the years that he will miss games, and I don't think
that's an advantage for them, I reckon.
Why?
Well, I just think in the last 3 years he's come into finals having played 10 games and been fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, but they had Luai to kind of like cut the slack and like pick up everything. But now they're going to have to play Snyder at 7 and Talagi at 6. I think and they're also don't have James Fisher-Harris as well, so they've got a lot of vulnerability if injuries do come up. So I do think they'll still finish in the top 4, but I think the fact that they have a rookie 6 means that I wouldn't be surprised if they did make the grand final again.
For me, the way Yo plays, I think there's not as much pressure on their halves if Cleary is out that most teams would actually be under. I do agree he needs to play the majority of the games, but if they finish anywhere near the top 4, no matter whether Cleary's playing or not, and he comes back and he's in that final series, he's the best player in the game, and if he's in the final series, they're always a chance, I think.
Steve, you go on Melbourne Penrith? Okay. Question number 23. I'll go for games. How many Origin games for these players in 2025? Gary, Terrell May.
0.
Steve, Lockie Galvin. You got an answer for me, Steve, or not? I don't know if you're on mute, but I didn't hear you.
I said 0.
0. Sorry, mate. Happy Coruscant, Declan?
I'm going to go 0 because I think Reece Robson did enough to keep the spot.
Jerome Luai, Nick, how many Origin games 2025?
3.
I think old Loz will stick with him, will you? I mean, Madge would have for sure based on what he did for him, but Loz, I think he just draws him out of the hat. I don't know what's going to happen.
I reckon Jerome's going to stand out early this season, or 2025 season. I think he'll be first crack.
Yeah, that's a good. Would you go Moses in theory? Because I thought Moses played. Obviously they won, and they won in Sun Cup as well. But I thought Moses really took the challenge a lot better than arguably Cleary has. And Cleary's the best player, obviously, so he's going to be picked. But I could see an argument that he could go Moses at 6 because he just plays the Origin so well because he just loves that pressure in that environment.
They may compromise and try and do all 3, although I suppose Luai or Moses not really a bench player, Declan, are they?
No, yeah. So I think you have to pick one, but it's gonna be interesting to see what he goes with.
Declan, 24, retro jersey for this year, which is absolute cracker, 2005 jersey, or the main jersey?
The main jersey for 2025. I'm gonna go. New is always better, so I'm gonna go 2025. So, yep.
Anyone gone out? Gary, you going to buy the retro jersey? I did get excited when I saw that. I don't like the fact they wear 6, 7, 8 different jerseys and special occasions, but that one got me excited.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't sell out again, it probably already has sold out again. I'll pick it up at some point.
Last question, boys. Do you have a fearless prediction for 2025? Start with you, Steve.
I wanted to give you my realistic prediction because you had realistic and fearless. So
okay, we'll do both. Go for it.
Do realistic. So this goes back to what we said a bit earlier, that Shane Flanagan is going to be under tremendous pressure this year, right? Because his son is going to underperform, and you'll keep picking him. That's my realistic. I reckon that's going to be a big news story this year. And my fearless prediction: top 4 finish, Tigers.
There you go, Nick. What do you got?
Just Tigers to make the 8. I think we're a good shot. I'm going to back us in.
Declan, I've got Lockie Galvin to play Origin. I know there's probably going to have to be an injury or 2, but I don't think he's going to have second-year syndrome. I think he's going to be even better this year.
Where are you playing him?
Which team am I playing him in or where?
Where? What position?
He's not a Queenslander, is he? Please tell me he's not a Queenslander.
What position are you playing him?
I'm playing him in his best position, Gary, which is number 6. Him and Luai, they can be our Origin halves.
Well, he's behind Haynes now, so I suppose you might be onto something if we have a few injuries. But yeah, I could see him. When you think about it, to start the season, he was the kind of in-form 5'8". Obviously, he was never going to get picked. But in terms of power rankings, he would have been up there for New South Wales halves, especially. So that could be a good shout.
Gary, your fearless prediction? I think that's the last one. We've gone around.
Yeah, Tigers will play semi-final football.
Okay. I've seen a picture of Joel there for the last hour, but I'm pretty sure he's not on board, so I won't ask him for his fearless prediction. So, boys, it's been it hasn't been a special edition of the podcast because I think Joel saves that for the ones he's hosting, but it's been a good edition of the podcast, I think, to round off 2025, Nick.
I disagree. It's special because you're back, Eddie. We all thought you were dead, so I'm just happy to see you alive and well. I think you're alive.
No.
Did you go and check on him? Did you actually reach out?
No one bothered to
see if
even
he was
send me a
okay?
text in a week I disappeared for.
You know why? Because the only contact I have with you is through Facebook, and apparently your
To be fair,
account.
Nick, to be fair, you were the one that actually got me back on the group chat. Steve and Joel, I wish them a Merry Christmas and everything. Just ignore me.
You're welcome, Eddie. You're welcome.
Well, I won't ignore you now, Eddie, but just to say, it's 10:20 on a Sunday night when we're recording, and this will probably hit tomorrow morning. But as of about 45 minutes ago, we hit 500
Brilliant.
signatures in the petition, so it's 500 in about 24 hours. So if you haven't voted, if you haven't signed, I should say, get out there and sign and share the link and get as many people as you know that can sign that petition. Please.
All right, boys, thank you for tonight. And, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all our listeners and sign that petition. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys.